All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful workflow for taking all that deep, complex research you do and turning it into an interactive resource, something you can actually hand over to a client or your team. We'll be using Gemini and Notebook LM to get it done.
So you know the feeling, right? You've spent hours, maybe even days, going down the rabbit hole, pulling together all this incredible information. But then what happens? How do you actually package that knowledge so it's not just another static document that sits in a folder, but a living, breathing asset that people can use and interact with? Well, that's exactly the problem we're going to solve.
You know, what we're building today is worlds apart from just asking a generic AI a question. On one hand, you've got those surface-level answers that have a real risk of hallucinations, and let's be honest, that's a total non-starter for any professional work. But on the other side, what we're creating is a grounded, interactive research hub. It's built on deep, sourced knowledge. We're moving from just unreliable text to a trustworthy, dynamic asset that has real, tangible value.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll generate our initial research. Then we'll cover the single most critical step, mastering the AI's plan. After that, we'll build our Knowledge Hub in Notebook LM, use that to create a whole library of new assets, and finally wrap it all up by turning it into an interactive bot you can actually share.
Okay, first things first, we need to lay the foundation. We're going to start right inside Gemini and use its research capabilities to generate a really comprehensive report. This report is going to be the cornerstone for everything else we do.
All right, now for what is, I think, the most important step in this entire process. And it's the one almost everyone skips. When Gemini gives you its research plan, your first instinct is to just hit go. Don't do it. This is your moment to take the wheel.
And this, right here, is the secret sauce. You have to steer the AI. See, Gemini will show you an outline of the steps it's about to take. Your job is to jump in and refine that plan. If you don't, the AI can get kind of lazy, you know? It might go off on a tangent, giving you a whole history lesson when what you really need are practical, actionable steps for right now.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The person who developed this workflow said it perfectly. They spent months not editing the plan, and they said, and I'm quoting here, that making that one change has really increased the results by a wide margin. Seriously, this one little action is a total game changer for the quality of your final output.
So how do you actually do it? It's pretty simple. First, just review the plan it gives you. Look for any lazy steps, like really broad topics, and just get rid of them. Then add focus. Tell it exactly what you want it to zero in on. Maybe you want it to ignore everything else and just focus on step 2, or add more detail to step 3. But here's the pro tip. Only edit the plan once. If you keep going back and tweaking it over and over, the quality actually starts to go downhill fast.
Okay, so we've used Gemini to create this incredibly powerful, focused report. The next step is to take that report and all of its sources and move them into Notebook LM. This is where we build our centralized knowledge hub.
The workflow for this is actually really straightforward. First, just export that Gemini report straight to a Google Doc. Next, scroll to the bottom of that doc, copy all the source links, and just ask Gemini to pull out only the URLs for you. Then, you import that Google Doc into a new Notebook LM, and this part is super cool. You can just paste that whole list of source URLs right into your notebook all at once.
And just like that, you've created what we're calling a knowledge hub. So what is that really? It's one single, unified place that holds both your high-level analysis, that's the report, and every single one of the original articles and web pages it was built on. It is now your single source of truth for this topic.
Now, this hub isn't just some fancy digital folder. It's a launch pad. We're going to use it as an engine to create a whole library of new, valuable, and super specific content. This is where things get really fun.
But how do we even know what to create? We start by asking Notebook LM to create a mind map of all our sources. This is such a brilliant way to get a real feel for the, let's call it the informational DNA of your research. You can see the main ideas, how they connect, and how they branch out into more detailed topics.
Okay, so once you have that mind map, you can instantly spot the most valuable themes. And instead of creating just one generic overview video, you can generate super specific assets. For example, say your research was about a new software rollout. You could create a quick video just for the sales team setup, a one-page PDF for admin configuration, and maybe an interactive FAQ just for user onboarding. You see? This is how you turn one report into a whole library of truly useful content. And now we've arrived at the payoff. This is where all that work really comes together. We're going to take our Knowledge Hub and turn it into a shareable, interactive tool that works just like a chatbot, but one that's completely grounded in your research.
Now, the crucial difference here is all about reliability. Other AI tools might pull answers from their massive general training data, which creates a lot of gray area. But Notebook LM is specifically designed to stay almost 100% grounded in the source material you gave it. For this kind of work, that makes it incredibly reliable and essentially hallucination-free.
Okay, a really important practical tip here, so listen up. As of right now, you can only share these notebooks from a personal Gmail account. It doesn't work with a business, Google Workspace, or G Suite account. So the simple workaround is to just create a separate, dedicated personal Gmail account that you use only for building and sharing these hubs with your clients or team. It's a tiny step that's going to save you a massive headache down the line.
So what does all this actually look like in the real world? Well, imagine giving a client an education hub they can ask questions to 24/7, or giving a new team member an onboarding portal that answers all their questions on day one. You could build discovery tools for potential customers, or even a weekly newsletter where your audience can interact directly with the articles you've curated. The possibilities here are seriously powerful.
So, at the end of the day, what have we actually built? You've created this self-contained world of knowledge. You can just hand a link to your client or your team, and they can ask it questions, dive into the details, and get clear, sourced answers that come directly from your report and all those custom assets you just made. It's like you've built them a personal expert assistant, trained by you.
So there you have it. You've gone from a pile of research to a dynamic, interactive brain that holds all of that knowledge. The only real question left is, what are you going to ask it first?